since it's the end of the year and pretty much all of the new horror movie releases have been released as of right now, let's go ahead and rank them. I like to go from worst to best, so you get to find out my favorite movies of the year at the end of the video. But I do have this video split up into 3 different categories just because there are so many movies that came out this year and I didn't even get to see all of them. So this video has so many for us to get through, so I will have timestamps linked down below for the worst, the mid, and the best. The top 5 movies in this video are, they're just so good. This year was incredible for horror. I think this is one of the best years that we've seen. Granted, a lot of bad movies, in my opinion, came out this year, which we'll start with. But generally, this has been an incredible year, and I am just so happy to be a horror fan right now because this is like the prime time. So we should just feel really lucky as horror fans to get a year like 2022. So let's start with the worst. And I gave 2 movies 1 star. So I'm going based on my rating of them based on Letterboxd and the star rating. So 1 star movies, there were only 2 because I'm not that harsh, but it's really rare that I give a 1 star. I think last year only 1 movie got a 1 star. I will say 3 movies total this year got a 1 star. Moonfall was one. That wasn't a horror movie. That got a 1 star from me. But my least favorite movie of the year is Pray for the Devil. I feel like it didn't really offer anything new, wasn't anything spectacular, and I really hated a lot of aspects of it, so definitely has to be my least favorite. Now, I say that being, you know, that the next movie is tied with Pray for the Devil, so they both got 1 stars, and I really debated back and forth which one I disliked more in order to go in last place, and I settled on Pray for the Devil. But Crimes of the Future is another one. Now that's probably gonna be more shocking because that one is way more original, obviously, and brought more to the table and was just such a unique movie. So I think that's why it's, you know, second to worst in my opinion. But that movie was not for me. Definitely not made for me. I totally understand if people love it. I couldn't stand that movie. That no part of it had me intrigued. I liked none of it. So definitely got a 1 star. Let's move on to my 2-star ratings. So a lot of movies got 2 stars from me. So maybe I was a little bit harsh this year. So the next movie that is not a fan of, They/Them. That one I think I disliked more and more the more I sat with it. So I didn't initially hate it right off the bat. You know, I understand what they were going for, but again, not for me. Up next, we have Firestarter. Firestarter was probably one of the worst movies I watched this year. I mean, obviously it's in the worst category. What was the point of that one? Like, at least do something unique, original. I feel like it just didn't offer nothing. It was giving nothing. To me, that movie feels so much like a cash grab. Like, I'm honestly getting a little bit tired of the Stephen King adaptations. Like, I think we can slow it down a little bit. We have plenty of them, and also we didn't need another Firestarter. You know, who was talking about the original Firestarter being like, you know what? That's one they should remake, when there's movies like Misery out there that I feel like you could do really cool things with that story. But they looked at Firestarter and thought that's the one. Up next, we have The Invitation. This one just had poor marketing. Honestly, I'm gonna say that that is the detriment of this movie, was the marketing. Because if they had marketed to the right people, aka the Twilight, you know, Tumblr girlies, I feel like it would have been more successful, but they marketed it more as a horror movie. So horror fans like me, who aren't a fan of romance, went in thinking it was one thing. I knew there was going to be a little bit, but I thought it'd be like Ready or Not, you know? Anyway, that movie ended up not being for me at all. Like, literally could not have made a movie less for me. Next, we have Mad God. So this one, it might be controversial to rank so low, but it is like a little bit better. Now we're like picking it up a little bit where there's like redeeming qualities about it, you know what I mean? With Mad God, I really respect the artistry, and I respect just the visuals and the art and the effort that really went into making it. However, it just did not, it felt like nothing. There wasn't really a story, and what story there wasn't clear as you're watching it, and it was really hard to follow, and I feel like they were just being weird for weirdness sake. and just a lot of things that not a fan. Again, I know a lot of people love that movie, and it was definitely unique, and I'm glad we finally got to see it. But yeah, it just was lacking with all the hype built around it, and the fact it took like 30 years to make. I was like really excited, and then not what I expected. Next, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So this one, you know, I could see myself rewatching it at some point in time, but it's hard because it could be really cheesy in a fun way, but it also was really bad. There was just a lot of cheese going on. And again, who asked for that? Who needed another Texas movie in the franchise? We didn't need that. And the fact that they did that to that character and did her disservice, I could not stand the ending of that movie. So my best friend's exorcism is next, one that I never talked about on the channel. I wanted to do a book to movie comparison, ran out of time in my schedule, so did not end up doing that. Didn't really like either book or movie, but obviously is that a package for me? Obviously, I enjoyed the book much more than the movie, but both kind of had obnoxious characters and just ones that I didn't really like at all. If anything, the priest in the end was like the funniest and the most redeemable thing about this movie, which is why it's ranked a little bit higher than all the others, because of I'm getting so distracted. There's like people walking all around delivering packages. Anyway, I did not like the changes that they made to the movie at all. Like, completely destroyed certain scenes and changed them so much so, and like plot points and characters. Like, that's not who they are in the book. So definitely a pass for me. Like, that movie, never again will I watch that. Next, Choose or Die. This one just didn't excite me. There's nothing really there. There was like one scene that was okay, but otherwise it's like, why did we make this? Okay, so the last movie that got 2 stars from me this year was Halloween Ends, and I think a lot of people will agree. Now we're getting into a place in the list where I would rewatch it under the right circumstances. I would rewatch Halloween Ends if I'm like binging the trilogy or something like that, right? But obviously we can agree that Halloween Ends delivered something so strange in the Halloween universe that a lot of people don't know what to do with that kind of entertainment. Like, it was so disjointed and did not feel like a Halloween movie. And especially with the conclusion, it just was a little off. So obviously a lot of people are probably going to put this in their worst category, but I know a lot of people who really enjoyed it too. A lot of you commented you loved the movie. I found a lot of it entertaining, so that's why I'd rewatch it. The first half is pretty good, and I almost wish that they just went with that direction of like how the first half was going. Okay, 2.5 stars out of 5. That's like right in the middle. Should be considered mid, but I consider mid to be like 3 stars. So only 4 movies got 2.5 stars from me this year, and the first up being Prey. So that one's probably going to be a little bit of a controversial one to rate so low because so many people love this movie, and I totally understand. But it just didn't give me anything really new as far as like the horror elements. I'm not a huge fan of the Predator universe to begin with, so this movie wasn't made for me personally. So that's why I just don't like it as much. Next up, we have Deadware. This is a found footage movie technically on a computer screen set in the, late 90s, I think, when I was gonna say FaceTime. FaceTime was not invented in the 90s. When like webcam usage was becoming more popular. I thought the setting was really good, and that's why it got a higher rating, but generally the delivery, the budget, just everything about it was a little bit meh. Up next is Fall. Fall is definitely one that I would rewatch. In fact, I think I should switch that one with the next one and have Fall be a little bit above that, because I would rewatch Fall, much like 47 Meters Down. Even 47 Meters Down Uncaged, which I don't like that movie, but there's like fun elements to it about the survival aspect, which I really enjoy. There's something about these like survival movies like Crawl, The Shallows, things like that. Even if they're cheesy, they're very, very entertaining, and the anxiety I felt while watching Fall is unreal. So yeah, the last movie that got 2.5 stars was Goodnight Mommy, the American remake. And I'm not a fan. It's just not great. It wasn't great. I don't even think it was necessary. And it did about what the original did, and I don't really like the original either. It's the overall concept, the twist, the story that it rubs me the wrong way, you know? So switch that with Fall. Fall will be higher than Goodnight Mommy. I'd watch that over Goodnight Mommy any day, but did not like the American rendition of Goodnight Mommy. I did like Naomi Watts though, which is why it's ranked a little bit higher, and I rated it 2.5. I feel like the performances were really good. All right, let's talk about mid movies. I almost didn't even include this category or any of these movies, but I know if I didn't include these, everyone would be asking about where they would rank, so I thought I would include them. These are all 3 stars. They're still ranked, by the way, from worst to best, in my opinion. So the next one, I'm being generous here. Okay, this really deserves to go back a little step and go back to 2.5 stars, to be honest, and that's Men. Did not like Men. It feels pretentious. It feels forced, like the concept and the metaphors and everything feels forced. I don't love that movie. I gave it 3 stars because I really liked the buildup of the tension, and I really liked the beginning of the movie. Like the first half I feel like is pretty solid, and there was like a good start to something there, and then it gets too weird for me and I just don't get it. So just, yeah, not for me. Next is The Black Phone. This movie is an enigma to me. I'm so confused why this is some people's favorite movie of the year. I'm very much at a loss because the plot holes in this are just everywhere. I don't understand why this is rated so high. Ethan Hawke's performance in The Black Phone was incredible. I liked all the acting, actually. I think it was all fantastic. But where was like the horror? And why are we doing the same jump scares over and over again? And like, just a lot of cliches going on that I just did not like. Next we have Violent Night. So this is the most recent movie of the year that I'm considering the last movie that's being released of the year. So Violent Night, I did do a full review on it. I will link it, of course, down in the description with everything else. This one moved up for me. I actually, when I did my review, I said I gave it 2.5 stars. And then when I was looking at my list and my ranking, and I'm looking at the worst to the best, I didn't like where it fell. It didn't deserve to be with all of those movies. And I have decided I like this more than I initially did. Like, it has grown on me the more I think about it. And I think I would rewatch it. So Violent Night got a little bump up. Next we have American Carnage. This one's kind of not even a horror movie. It's like, I don't know, action, political thriller, I would say, but I'm considering it a horror for the sake of this video. Jenna Ortega's in it, and yeah, I think this was a fun movie. It was very solid, very mid, you know, wasn't phenomenal, but I think it's underrated and more people should see it. Escape the Field. This is like a smaller budget movie that was released. Not great, not bad. It's just kind of forgettable, to be honest. But again, it's like one of those maze game type horror movies, I guess, where they're like, you know, it's a survival type thing, but they're trying to solve a puzzle. So if you like Saw, or you like Cube, or Escape Room, or stuff like that, I feel like Escape the Field would be a good option, but I love those other movies and I don't love Escape the Field, but it was fine. Next, We're All Going to the World's Fair. This one was kind of a weird one to come out, probably the strangest movie to come out of 2022, and a lot of people talked about it, of course. I think the equivalent for next year is going to be Skinamarink, which I know everyone has been asking me to review, but I am waiting for that to have like a wider release, and it should be either going on Shudder and or in theaters next year. So hopefully I will find the time to talk about it eventually. Next we have See For Me. This is a Shudder original. Again, this one's it's mid, but I feel like it was pretty solid, like a solid thriller movie, and the concept very similar to Hush, if you're a fan of Hush. So still recommend checking it out. Now, a movie I haven't heard anyone really talk about since its release is Amma, which I really enjoyed. Again, mid, It wasn't that special, but I really liked Sandra Oh in it. I liked the concept. I like how the story played out, and I kind of liked the horror elements too. It wasn't like super strong by any means, but I saw it in theaters, and it was a good experience, so I'd recommend checking it out. Next is Tethered. This is another Shudder original with a very unique storyline, but it, you know, was clearly a little bit more on the low budget side. Next is No Exit. This is one that makes me just want to read the book instead of watch the movie. I feel like the book is probably better. But if you want like a twisty, like thriller, they're all trapped in the snow kind of vibe, No Exit ended up being pretty good. It didn't offer a lot, but it was a solid movie. We're still on 3 stars, guys. There's so many 3-star movies. That's my favorite rating to give a movie. Next is She Will. This one is so beautiful of a story, first of all. Just stunning visuals, very dreamy. I keep saying, this is the perfect example. If a Pisces was a horror movie, it would be She Will. Then we have Orphan First Kill. This one was okay. I didn't have too high expectations for it, to be honest, because again, it's a random sequel. But I know a lot of people were excited about it, and I know a lot of people liked this movie. I think it's good. But yeah, pretty mid. It was okay. They still ended up shocking the viewer, which I really appreciate, because I really did not think they could live up to the twist of the first one. And it doesn't, but it does try. There's an effort there. Next is another movie no one talked about at all this year, and that is Master. This one I believe was a Prime original, like Amazon Prime movie. This one has a great story. I was so entertained all the way through this one. The horror was good. The ending, it was shocking. I really liked it. So if you've yet to watch Master, please go watch it. Next we have Speak No Evil. Now this one, this one confuses me a little bit, like as far as how to like rate it, because it was good, but it was the most frustrating movie I've ever seen in my life. But I do think it is more social commentary on being nice and like how far are you willing to go to like have people walk all over you, you know? So I liked that commentary, but it was so hard to watch. Absolutely like traumatic to get through in like an entertaining way, not like, oh, this is boring, you know? Next is Significant Other. This one was straight to Paramount Plus. This one was pretty good as well with Micah Monroe. I am starting to really enjoy her work and her performances. And she's been in a couple movies this year as well. Next we have Deadstream. Yeah, this one is like a mid movie, mid found footage for sure. I mean, if you've seen everything else, every other found footage movie, this is a good one to watch, but it is annoying. It's annoying to watch. And honestly, this movie frustrates me a little bit because I almost wish they had made it more serious in tone, because I genuinely think the horror in this is so good. Like the horror visuals and the scare factor in this, so good. Everything about it. I love all the horror, but then it's like in a comedy setting, and so it's not as effective. But if they made it like very serious, like Go GM or something, it could have been that scary. Next is The Cursed. This is another theatrical release that didn't get a lot of attention. It is streaming on Hulu now, so you can watch it on there. But this was a great like werewolf movie, and those typically aren't my favorite type of movies. Next is Terrifier 2. I have a feeling this one's going to be a lot of people's favorite movie of the year, or ranked really high. Very gruesome. I'm surprised I even watched this movie, to be honest. Like, how did I watch this movie? I am not really into gore right now. Like, I can't do it. It's very disturbing, especially the scene in this that is disturbing. But this had to be ranked there for me because of Art's Friend, my favorite villain or favorite person to come out of 2022 horror movies. And lastly, for the mid movies, this one's gonna bother some people. Scream. I know. Listen, I'm not into the franchise like that, okay? So I like the Scream movies, but to me, they are overhyped. And I see so many people so excited for Scream 6. I'm not sure if I'll be able to review it, so we'll see. But it is the best out of all of the mid movies, I would say. Like, I definitely am going to rewatch it probably soon, because I bought it on DVD, so I do enjoy it a lot. And I like it in the franchise as well. But to me, it's still like a little overrated, so. Okay, are you ready to get into the best movies of the year according to Possessed by Horror? These are all of my favorite movies of the year. And again, these are the best examples of like original horror that we are getting. There is no franchise anything in the top movies this year, and I'm loving it. I'm loving all these movies. So the worst of the best, I guess you would say, the last place of the 3.5 stars is Hatching. So this is the most recent most recent watch for me that I really wanted to watch in this year before the time was up, so there are a bunch that I missed. I believe there's another movie called Something in the Dirt I really wanted to watch as well before filming this, but alas, ran out of time. So but I did see Hatching. I think it's on Hulu now. I was surprised at how much I liked this. Did I know really what was going on? No. But that's okay. I liked the visuals. I liked the story a lot. I liked the family dynamic. It just felt very unique to me, like a very unique viewing experience. Next is Fresh. This is definitely rated a little bit lower on the best scale. Like, I liked so many other movies above Fresh. I think a lot of people have forgotten about this movie by now, but yeah, it was good. It was different, and I liked the change in tone going from a romance to a horror. I wish they pushed the horror a little bit more. Like, I wanted so much more out of it. Maybe some gore, things like that. But definitely solid. Definitely one of the better movies that came out this year. This next one's a controversial one for me to rank so high, but this is my list. I have to be honest. And that is Dashcam. I really enjoyed this movie. I know a lot of people can't look past the protagonist being Annie Hardy and her, you know, political beliefs and things like that. And well, she is absolutely obnoxious in this movie, and I obviously do not, you know, stand by anything that she says in the movie. I found it to be entertaining. I mean, it's hard to root for her, but at the same time, the horror was really good, and I love a found footage. Like, I thought that this was a really unique take on a found footage movie. Speaking of found footage, the next one is Incantation, which was a Netflix movie. We got some really good found footage movies this year. I think we had 4 like pretty solid ones, so I am really happy about that. The next one, I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, is ranked so low, even though it's still one of the best movies. Okay, don't forget that. Nope. Now this is on Peacock, so you can stream it there. I just don't think it's Jordan Peele's strongest movie. I liked so many aspects of it. Obviously I bought merch for it. I do enjoy it. I will buy it on DVD once I can, but it wasn't his strongest, you know? I feel like it lacked a lot of horror like the other movies had. Like, you know, Get Out and Us. I feel like that offers a lot of like horror elements, and this one was more like sci-fi. I don't even know what else to call it. Thriller maybe? I don't know. I feel like he should have rearranged the movie and it would have been better. Okay, then we have Smile. Smile is the last one out of the 3.5 stars. Now this one I really want to give more stars to. I will rewatch it soon, I think. It's on Paramount Plus now, so I can stream it. This one did something really unique in the end, but I hated so much of this movie because I thought it was going to be like every other movie that I've ever seen. And it wasn't. And I was completely blindsided in the end. I'm still not sure if it's self-aware that, you know, the jump scares and everything are supposed to be cliche. I really don't know. And then there's like weird plot holes, and just like the story is a little, you know, it's a lot. But I really enjoyed it in the end. Like, I had such a fun time watching the end of this movie. Okay, are you ready for my 4-star movies? These are like some of the best of the best. I only have 2 movies this year that I ranked 5 stars. So all the rest of the movies are 4 stars. Up next we have Resurrection, which is a Rebecca Hall movie. Rebecca Hall, Michael Monroe, I feel like they're becoming, maybe even Jenna Ortega, becoming like instant watches for me. So Resurrection was really unique. I feel like it did what Men wanted to do, but in a better and more like clean way. And I really liked it. It was a little traumatic, not gonna lie, but it was really interesting. It was very, very good. Next is Wendell and Wild. This one is like, again, horror. It's by Jordan Peele and stars Key and Peele, which is really exciting. I really loved Wendell and Wild in the movie, like the characters themselves. They made the movie entirely. I really liked this one way more than I thought I would, because animated movies aren't my favorite. But this one was fantastic. So entertaining. Now, speaking of animated movies, it's not really animated, more like stop motion. The House. The House was so good. No one talks about The House. Now, it is on Netflix, and you just need to watch it. I love this movie so much. Like the visuals, the stories. It's an anthology, so there's 3 different stories. And let me tell you, it's so entertaining. So entertaining, and oh my gosh. Next one is The Menu. So this one again leans a little bit more thriller, but I absolutely enjoyed this movie so much. I had some issues with it. Obviously, I went into depth about that a little bit more in my review, so you can check that out if you want to know more. But overall, I was so impressed with this. I love Anya Taylor-Joy, Ralph Fiennes. I love it. Then we have You Won't Be Alone. This one is heartbreaking. Definitely just like a heavy movie that is so beautiful. I don't think I would ever rewatch this movie. It's just not one of those movies that you'd throw on, you know, because it's a lot. But if you want like emotions and story and just beauty with some horror, it's so good. Okay, we are down to my top 5 horror movies this year. I had you guys guess on Instagram, and a lot of you got most of them right. But there's one that every single person left out, and no one else really said it. So you guys were almost there. But one that was consistent with all of your guesses was the next one, which is Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. So surprised by this one. But this made the top 5 list for me. That's so shocking to me, but this movie I saw twice in theaters. One of the most fun movies I've ever seen. Great story. It's not like scary, but it does have a lot of tension in it, which I really enjoyed. And I absolutely love the characters. The characters made this movie. So I could rewatch this one over and over and over again. Like this is this year's Last Night in Soho. You know? In 4th place, we have X. Again, really impressed by this one. I loved everything about it. I don't feel like I really need to go into depth as to why, but great gore. I love the story. I like the commentary. I think it's really good. The commentary on aging and everything like that. Yeah, just solid movie. So the 3rd place movie is actually the one that no one really guessed. I don't think anyone guessed it, that I am obsessed with. And I think it's because I saw it in theaters. It was the right setting. I was by myself. Very few people in the theater, and I just was so immersed in this movie, and that's why it was so effective for me, and that is Watcher. Again, a Micah Monroe movie. So she was in a couple movies this year. Amazing. Incredible performance. She carried this movie hands down. I love everything they did about this movie, and it's interesting because I don't feel like the story is that original. I don't feel like it does a whole lot for the genre, but there was something immersive about this movie that if watched in the right setting, it's just so tense. Okay, now we have our 5-star ratings, my top 2 favorite movies this year, and how I listed them now with 2nd and 1st place. I thought about this so hard of which one I liked more, because I don't even know, because one I would rewatch, one is just better, I think, but both are perfect movies in my opinion. So in 2nd place, we have Pearl. Again, it could go in first. It could go in first. I became obsessed with Pearl. Obviously, I haven't done my eyebrows since watching it. I still have not done my eyebrows one time since I watched Pearl. That's so cringy that I am just embracing my natural eyebrows, but there's something about Mia Goth embracing hers, being a brunette as well. I am obsessed now, so I don't do my eyebrows anymore. But beyond that, the movie itself, obviously stunning visuals. I loved what Ty West did with the juxtaposition of X with Pearl and the utilization of classic, Hollywood type style of editing. I'm very excited for Maxine. However, it does take place in the 80s, and I could care less about the 80s, so I'm really hoping it is like worth it in some way, I liked Pearl in the setting because it took place during World War I, and we don't see a lot of movies in that time period. Anyway, 1st place, perfect movie. You already know what it is because it's the only movie I have not talked about yet. That was a huge release that everyone was talking about, and that of course is Barbarian. Barbarian, I think, is my favorite movie of the year. Again, Barbarian's not going to be for everyone. I've seen a lot of negativity around it and like people not getting the hype around it, and I totally relate. I relate with the black phone. Okay, I'm there. I feel you. I do not judge people who don't like movies I like because I don't like a lot of movies that other people like too. I'm sure a lot of you are gonna have something to say about my ranking in this video. So there you have my best and worst horror movies of 2022. Obviously, I didn't watch everything that came out this year. If there's any big ones that you think that I might have missed that you want to hear my thoughts on, leave it in a comment down below so I can watch it on maternity leave and maybe come back and let you know what I thought. But yeah, leave a comment. Tell me your best and worst horror movies of 2022. I am so curious to hear what everyone's is. You can leave more rankings in there if you want, like if you want to list a top 5 and a worst 5, whatever you feel like, but at least share your favorite and least favorite movie this year. This year's so polarizing, so I'm so excited to read the comments on this video. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.